How are you?
Good, how are you?
I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule for coming down and talking with us today, Mr. Kentucky.
No problem. It is my pleasure to be here, Mr. Carroll.
So, I've heard that y'all have had a very interesting time down in Argentina with the Netflix operations down in Latin America. Can you tell me a little bit about that so far?
Absolutely, Mr. Carroll. I wanted to do this for quite some time now, we've had some difficulties, but we have been able to overcome some minor troubles over the years. As you already know, it's a tough business to run, but luckily we're able to operate very similar to that as Netflix here in the United States.
Awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. So, I mean, do you mind me asking what are some of those difficulties you've had with your team? Any like special projects or anything along those lines?
Sure. Before I get into things, I'll let you know that it's something very similar to your experience right now with the cinematch algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, we didn't know what to do in regards to solving the problem internally.
So, I mean, you're absolutely right. We're trying to create a competition where we try and improve this cinematch algorithm. Is that something that y'all already done? I know that's like this idea of creating competitions has been around for some time now, but have y'all done anything like that down in Latin America?
It's weird that you mentioned that because a couple of years ago we conducted something very identical to what you just described to me. The fundamental premise of the competition revolved around the idea of crowdsourcing.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially what we did was open up competition to the general public and let anyone take a crack at it. The hardest part about it, however, involved the legality and the prize money involved.
Okay, well, I mean, before I ask about this prize money you talk about, could you tell me a little bit more about the terms of the competition and what you asked the participants of this competition to achieve?
Yeah, absolutely, certainly. We decided that the competition was going to last for 3 years, and the premise of the coding revolved around lowering the root mean standard error, or RMSE, about 10%. This number essentially shows how accurate our cinematch algorithm is by measuring the difference between the values generated by a typical regression model and the differences between the observed values in our database. The current percentage is pretty high, which is not going well, of course. So the idea that if someone can lower the RMSE 10% by the end of the competition, they receive the grand prize.
Awesome. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of a perfect segue into my next question. What is the grand prize, and what happens if, I guess, someone doesn't win at the end of those terms, or what happens after the end of that?
Yeah, it's always something to think about. So I figured you'd like to know how much we were willing to, give over for the competition. So we decided that the grand prize would be $1 million to the participant that obtained that 10% increase we talked about earlier.
Okay.
However, if someone doesn't attain that 10% increase, there would be a $50,000 reward for every 1% increase in the RMSE.
Okay.
This happens after the initial contest is over and once the 10% is reached.
Awesome. Okay, so I mean, that does sound like a great incentive that you guys implemented in your competition for the participants. I guess like the most important question with this competition is: are these results actually beneficial, and do they actually help your operations down in Latin America better overall?
Well, I can tell you that it's a bit risky, but there are lots of people all over the world that are very talented, and they also do these competitions as a full-time profession. This crowdsourcing technique is used all around the world and has been proven to work. It worked for us, so that is something you keep in mind,
Well, I mean, I guess that's good to hear overall. I mean, so since it worked for you guys, is there anything that we here in the States should worry about for this competition, like any risk or anything that we should be concerned about, sticking next out for?
Yeah, so the hardest time we had was trusting the world with our entire algorithm. We went through a lot of legal precautions with our lawyers, but it was completely worth it in my opinion. We decided it would be best to give them full access to the algorithm, but regardless of the result of the competition, Netflix Latin America would own all rights to the code. So it seems complicated, I know, but it's something that you could really hurt Netflix if someone received complete access to the algorithm and used it to create new business.
Okay, that's a valid point, and that makes sense. And if you don't mind, could we use, I guess, some of those ideas that you guys implemented for our proposed crowdsource competition?
Absolutely. I mean, we're technically the same company, you know, and when one of us does well, the other does also. We can work out a deal after this interview if you like.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. And I really appreciate you, again, taking the time to explain this information to me. I know you didn't have to do that. And there was way more stuff that I had never even considered before you explaining that to us. And I appreciate your professional mindset, and I know that your advice is going to help us here on the States, here on the future.
You know, I'm glad I was able to help you. I'm glad I'm here, but now that we're in California, what do you say about we get out of here and get a juicy burger?
Dude, that sounds like an awesome idea. Appreciate the answers again.
Absolutely. See you later.